So I guess I can share my screen, and you can take a look at what we're doing. All right, so here's my screen. So we have a few demo bots that I'm going to demo with here. Let's see here. Okay, cool. So when so like I said, at the homepage of Dashbot, you can see how many messages we processed. I'm going to take a look at a bot that we've built called Ask the Cat. So this bot is a demo bot that Artie, our CEO, built. It actually is surprisingly engaging if you want to like chat with it. Super cool. You chat with it, you muse me, and it actually does pretty intelligible responses if you're expecting it to be a cat. So it's pretty cool. So feel free to chat with it, tell it hi. And what happens is basically, this is basically what every bot maker kind of starts out with is they're making a bot, they're chatting with it, and then they're like, oh, like that's pretty cool. Like where can I see what's going on with my bot? And that's kind of one of the first things we've solved here with Dashbot. Once you've integrated and you're sending us data, you'll start to see messages come in. You can see we're counting messages, number of messages you have, number of users. That's pretty kind of table stakes. We're doing this all in real time. So you can see here in live transcripts, here's my chat with the bot. There's Dennis, there's me. I'll chat in this window, say some more, what's up? And you'll see these messages kind of pop in real time. The reason why you do this is you kind of want to see what's happening in real time with your bot. One of the awesome things about conversational interface is that you're able to see what's happening in real time. And if you wanted to, you can actually say, hi, I'm a human, and send it back through Dashbot and actually come in Messenger here, like, hi, I'm a human here. And the reason why we do this is because unlike web or mobile, if you had your analytics or you're viewing a transcript in real time, you couldn't really do anything with it. Right. But with a conversational interface, it's possible to kind of jump into the middle of the conversation. We offer a pause button that you can send your bot like a signal that says, hey, like a human's taking over the conversation. Let me continue. So then now when I say, help, the code no longer responds because we told the code to pause at this point. So that's kind of one of the neat features. As a result, we do have, since we do have the messages in real time, we can allow our customers to do that. Mm-hmm. I'll dig a little bit more into the analytics. Most of these analytics I would consider kind of table stakes for any analytics platform. We count users and sessions and whatnot. One neat thing to consider when you're doing analytics for conversational interfaces is that there's this concept of engage versus active. Some platforms like Facebook Messenger allow you to broadcast like a general message out to all of your users. So in this case, you can see here on Thursday, we sent a message to 125 of our users. That's the total number. 80 of them we call active, which means 80 of them actually read the message. And then 25 of them engaged, which is they replied. So this almost feels more like email analytics or open rates and click rates than it does feel for like web or mobile analytics, which is kind of the nature of this medium, is that it's not quite web, it's not quite mobile, it's not quite email, it's different, it's conversation. Right. Other things we do are pretty straightforward. Count the number of sessions. The sessions we define as a series of messages that are transmitted with your bot with a 5-minute timeout. So if someone takes a break, leaves their phone or their computer for 5 minutes and starts up a new conversation, then that's a new session. Other things we do, that are pretty straightforward: retention. I'll show you more for GameMonk, which has a lot more data because it's more interesting. Pretty much anything you would expect from an analytical platform to tell you like how often your users come back, what the most active users are. So we can see here that this person has been using our bot for like 13 hours, which is crazy. They're playing games. Since we are processing all of these conversations, like we saw the transcript before in that live view, we break these down and we start to show you what the most important things and the most popular things that users are sending your bot, and help you understand what's going on there. So in this case, for GameMonk, which is a trivia bot, you can see that we have, more and ABCD. These are actually the answers to the trivia questions. So obviously they're going to be top messages into the bot. But this one's interesting. This is a message that users are saying, let's stop.
Right.
And if you're like, that's weird. Like, why are users telling my bot to stop? You can actually click on that message and get understanding. So for the 1,540 times that the word stop was sent by the user, here are all of the different messages that the bot said before that, right? So you can see here, here's a game, name as many decathlon. I guess that's a bad sentence. Name as many decathlon as you can in 60 seconds. 35 people said stop after that question. Name as many Sesame Street Muppets as you can in 60 seconds. 30 people said stop after that question. So you can really start to understand the flow of conversation and the hang-ups when you're building like a conversational interface. Does that make sense? Cool.
It really helps you identify some areas that you might not support in your bot yet and help you.
Totally.
And quick question.
Yeah.
Does it show when people leave?
It does. So this right-hand node here is the end node. So 44 people after they said stop, like they left, right? And it really starts to, and I'll get in, there are a few other reports that really highlight what people are doing right before they leave. But the neat thing about this message funnel report is you can, if any message is interesting, you can refocus on that. So this Sesame Street Muppet question is interesting. So let's click on that one. And you can see, name as many Sesame Street Muppets as you can in 60 seconds. And the top answer there is Elmo. Elmo, then Big Bird. And then the third most popular answer is actually stop. They hated that game. So you can kind of, see how you're using Dashbot to help really understand how users are interacting with your conversational interface. And that's something that, I really need to stress is that like conversation, the reason why we're doing this, it's the next stage of evolution in human computer interaction, right? Like if you think about it, like the World Wide Web took all this amazing information and made it accessible online. It connected all these pieces of information. Mobile took all that information and put it into our pockets. And this third step of evolution is conversation, where as familiar, I think, as most people that work in technology are with like keyboards and SQL and like I'm pretty good at Google. There are a lot of people whose first interface to the world is conversation, and if we can interface with information in the same way that we kind of talk with each other, that's what this is about. And conversation is the first thing we learn as humans. It's the first thing that children learn to communicate and interact with their world. So to be able to interact with information in the same way that we interact with each other, like that's what we're building here. And that's why conversational interfaces are so interesting and so amazing.
Right.
So digging back into our reports, understanding what messages are being sent. Rich, you mentioned something about exits. This report, which is our top exit messages, gives us a sense for, I'll do like incoming. What are the last messages that people sent before they left, right? So you can see here, that's kind of where we have like a, look at the cat and see if there's interesting exit messages here. I'm feeling lonely, come pat me, like 6 sessions left after the cat said that, right? So you can start to see which messages cause people just to kind of leave, right?
I see.
Right. So this is kind of a measure, all your different messages that your bot has sent out, and you can see these are the messages that were the last message in the session.
I see.
Okay. We do kind of since we're getting all these words, we're doing a few things with the words. We are measuring sentiment. Mm-hmm. So we score all of the messages based on kind of a positive or negative sentiment. And this is a report that shows average sentiment of the messages being sent to our chatbot. And then another way we process the words is with our word cloud report. So here's taking all of the messages for the past 30 days, kind of munging them all together, and then doing an analysis on the most common words sent to your bot. And this is just kind of a fun way to visualize and see, what the biggest words are being sent to our game bot. And now we're just kind of getting into different ways to visualize the data that you're sending us. If you're imagining a conversation as a series of nodes that are kind of flowing through your conversational UI, our behavior flow is a graphical way to understand what this looks like, right? So you can see here from the first message, from the first message is help. 62% of them, of these sessions that start with help, end, right? And then a 31% actually, this is interesting, ask help again. And then from here, you can keep following. So then of these 31% that asked help again, and another 50% just kind of leave, right? You can kind of keep following all these paths of conversation through your bot. So in this case, it's a trivia bot. So for this path, for the trivia game correct node, it makes sense that the nodes that led to the trivia game correct message are to start the trivia game, right? So you can see we went from trivia game start to trivia game correct. And this I would imagine would be the wrong. Yep. So 47% got it right on the first message out, and the 41% got it wrong on the first message, right? So you can start to imagine we're now starting to slice and dice the data in different ways to help you better understand what's going on.
So this is measuring like the handoff between different dialogue flows, right? Like it's
right.
Gotcha.
So we're kind of seeing like all of the conversations that have been sent to your bot. What are the most common flows and paths that your users are taking? I mean, you can like we see all sorts of different kinds of bots out there. You know, there are bots that are helping you shop. There are bots that are handling customer service and answering questions. There are bots that send you daily like affirmations. It's amazing to see all the different kinds of applications that people are building on top of these platforms. So that's behavior flow. We have other reports that show you, for example, the goal funnel. This our game bot, we want people to play the game, so we can show that, you know, for the 6,000 people that installed it, 1,500 or 25% of people actually played a game, and then 13% actually then participated in it. So that's kind of our goal funnel. You can imagine customizing that to whatever you want with your particular bot.
Super interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess what am I missing? Okay, so we also do alerts, which is kind of neat. Since I guess this is kind of going back to the beginning of my demo, which is since we're processing all of your messages in real time, we are able to set up a rule. So this is a rule that this one here, this looks for the keyword Dennis. And then when we hear this word Dennis, we'll send an alert to the Slack webhook, right? So if I come here and I say, you know, hi, Dennis, like the bot will continue to respond. I will actually get a Slack alert here that says alert for Ask the Cat has been triggered.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. And the neat thing about this is like, why would I do this, right? So say this keyword was like help, or like you could set up keywords for swearing, or you could then click on this link here and then drop right into the session and saying, you know, it says, hi, Dennis, I was alerted. I'm going to drop in. And that's like a great customer service use case where it's like, cool, look for these words. When they happen, send me an email, send me a Slack, or hit any webhook that tells me what to do with it. And that can be like, hey, you know, it's Dennis here. You rang. Right.
And so then this is where the pause button plays out. You can keep the conversation, pause it, take over. That's
exactly. Yeah. And this is kind of like the neat, like human in the loop pattern that a lot of bot makers are taking, which is great. You know, like for the majority of the conversations, your automated responses should be able to handle, but have like an operator button, have like a case where maybe it's like you get the I'm confused message 3 times in a row, and then it pings you, and then you can kind of take a look at the session and drop in as a human if you want, right? So there's some really neat ways to use these conversational interfaces. And you don't have to like pop up, like say you're on a website, you don't have to pop up a thing in the corner that says like, hey, you know, let's chat with the customer service person here. You're already chatting with the user. You're already chatting with your customer. So it's really natural just to kind of drop into a conversation and continue that conversation.
And this seems like very useful for companies to use that are, you know, trying to expand their, you know, customer support center to interact with, you know, more bots and kind of trying to figure out what that interface looks like. This seems like a great tool. Just
let
them get going with that.
Completely. So yeah, that's kind of a very brief overview of a few of the things we're doing here at Dashbot. I mean, I guess I can go over pricing. It's free. which is awesome. So any developer that's out there, we want you to be using Dashbot. Send us your data. Let us help you understand what's going on in your bot. We are a company, so we do have ways to make money. And the ways we do that is once you send us your data, if you want like custom reports, if you want integrations with your data into your backend systems, like those are the types of things that we charge for. We do also charge for a few what we call market metrics reports. So here's one of the most common questions that we were getting from our customers was, hey, I'm doing like this many users per month. Like, is it any good? So at this point, since we've processed over 18 billion messages from like over 8,000 bots, we have a pretty good sense for if your usage data, like where in the ecosystem you would sit in terms of like a benchmarking band. So at $100 a month, you can get access to us telling you that, yes, you were in the 0th percentile up until November, and then Cat actually did pretty well in November and started to do some traffic. So that's part of the $100 a month plan, as well as if you want to like export any of this data, that's all part of that pro plan. But if you don't want that stuff, totally cool. Use it for free. Send us data and let us help you.
What's the message percentile right above it?
It's the same type of banded report where this is message percentile tells you based on the number of messages that are sent to your bot. User percentile is your percentile based on the number of unique users you had.
So for someone starting out, a lot of this could be kind of a little bit intimidating, right?
Sure.
Like, what would you say are the key few things to really focus on when first starting out?
Get your bot coded, right? Is the first thing, and then as soon as you can, especially if you're doing Facebook, like I'll show you how easy it is to set up a bot in Dashbot, which is basically I can see here. I'll just make a new bot here. So I'll just create a new account. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So I'll add a new bot. This is like bot podcast bot. I'll pick my platform, Facebook, and that's it, right? I've created a bot now, and essentially that's you've created a bot in Dashbot. If you click on connect bot directly to Facebook, it auths in with Facebook.
Right.
And then you pick your page, right? So for me, this is my test bot. I just say save, and then it's done. I guess that one's already associated, but that's it. There's no more coding needed. That's all you need to do to add your bot to Dashbot, which is pick your bot. And then you'll start seeing data come in here. And that's what's kind of, and I would say, when you're creating your bot, one great thing is that our Firehose and Live Transcript will allow you to see what's going on with your bot.
Right.
So, take a look at it and see what's going on. And, like watching what your traffic and users do with your bot is the best way to improve your bot, right? Which is why we built Dashbot.
And for any other users that may be using, certain platforms, such as or frameworks such as Bot Framework and such, do you guys support additional ones such as additional platforms for users to build their bots in?
We do. So if you're coding your bot, you could do the codeless integration with Facebook. If you're using Node, we have an NPM, right? That basically is you install the NPM and then it's one line here and then one line. So it's 3 lines of code. And it's for any node coded bot. If you're not using Node, we have a REST interface. So every time your bot receives a message, send us a copy. Every time your bot sends a message, send us a copy. And it's pretty straightforward to do.
Awesome.
If you're using Bot Framework, we have a Bot Framework plugin for Node. We don't have a C# one. But essentially, if you're coding and you know REST, you can integrate with Dashbot. If you're using a platform like a Chatfuel, for example, where you're not doing any coding, we actually have a partnership with them where you can actually click from Chatfuel to add Dashbot analytics. But even if you're using any other platform to create your bot and you're not touching any code, you can use the Facebook codeless integration to get analytics.
That's awesome.
Hey, can you go back to the cat bot?
Yeah.
Okay, right there. And then can you scroll down to, where was that one where top message is out?
Oh yeah. All right. I think I need
It's like
to.
people would say type in stop or something, and it would give the message right before that.
Yeah. Let me log in again. Hold on. Ah. All right. I'm gonna just log back into Dashbot here. All right. So here's our cat bot. So top message is out.
Okay. And this is when the cat said, "I'm feeling lonely, come pat me," that's when people left?
Yes. So we saw 118 sessions in this case. People left after I'm feeling lonely, right?
Well, why did people do that?
Well, so why is a question that we are trying to answer. We can tell you the what, right? So it's a good question, right? So the first step of analytics is to tell you the what. We are really trying to figure out the why, which is the next step. But that's a lot harder.
Well, that's just like really interesting. It's like, okay, so I'm feeling lonely, come pat me, and then people just like, no, I'm leaving.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like apart from all the other interactions.
Actually, I do know why this happened, because this was our broadcast message. We sent this out to all of our users, right? And 118 of them got it and did nothing, right?
Nice.
Here are all of the responses, right? So there's some not so great responses. There's an amusing one. There's some smileys and whatnot. So, but that was the reason why it was one of the top messages out was because that was a broadcast message we sent out to our users. And that's another piece of functionality that I forgot to mention is that we do allow you to basically create a broadcast message to all of your users.
Wow.
So you can create a broadcast campaign. I can say, hey, this campaign is called, I'm lonely. I can say, my cat's breath smells like cat food. And then if I wanted, I could basically launch this and send it to everybody that has spoken to the catbot, right?
And does it also segment the audience, it looks like? Oh, no, that's just...
Yeah, so you can create user segments based on user activity as well as any other dimension that we currently have. So for Facebook, we have dimensions like gender, right? Male and female. We have time zones. You can see, for example, here are my users. There's all my users, and I can segment them by gender. So males versus female. I also have time zone, which is a little bit kind of crazier because there's so many different time zones. And I also have locale, which is like ENUS or ENGB, your different languages. So you can imagine if you create a segment for Spanish, you would send a broadcast in Spanish. If you send, or target specific information to different segments of your users or whatnot.
Do you also segment the audience by like certain actions that they took, or depending on the question?
We definitely can, and then this is where our enterprise or paid plans are going, right? So, which is we help you understand the audience that is speaking to your bot. We'll create custom segments for you, custom reports on like, cool, here's everyone that has sworn at the bot. Here's everyone that has said loving things to the bot. You want to send them a special message. Here are all of the users' IDs that have done that, and we can do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is awesome. I think you can definitely see how Dashbot is, a great piece of the puzzle that we're, of what's coming together now with, this conversational interface and how they're evolving.
Cool.
And, we're seeing,
Thanks.
Absolutely. We're seeing every day, that this industry just, is constantly changing, and people are coming up with, new ways of engaging with users using chatbots. I was wondering, what is the roadmap that you guys see for the future? How do you plan on evolving with the industry and and being able to support more of the trends that we're going to see in the chatbot space, and as the technology evolves too.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, one really exciting, I guess I didn't even touch upon region that we're really focusing on is Alexa and Google.
Right.
Like, you guys turn off your Alexa over the office, but more like these same conversational interfaces are happening on these kind of connected speakers, as well as and you can think about conversation will probably be the interface for VR AR, right? Uh, so we are definitely doubling down on our analytics for voice. The same types of reports that work really well in Facebook Messenger that you saw with the cat work really well in voice as well. So you can see here, we actually can see a transcript from. Actually, let me try to talk to this go live and see what happens. I can show you kind of what's going on. Let's see. All right. My speaker. Talk to Dashbot.
Calling with Alexa is not supported on this device.
Open Dashbot.
Hello there. Ask me anything about Dashbot, including pricing and platforms.
So you can see it right here. What platforms do you support?
Dashbot supports Facebook, Alexa, Google Home, Slack, Twitter, Kik, and any other conversational interface.
Right.
We also work with bot building platforms like ChatFuel, Pandora Bots, Dexter, and more.
Cool, thanks. Bye. So you can basically see here, like in the same way that we are able to visualize a conversation with your Facebook bot, we can do that the same with your Alexa skill, right? And the same types of metrics and reports and understanding, the same message funnel, exit reports, all are really useful as well in Alexa land as well. Right? So you can see here, like what's the most common way that people are exiting? Like they heard welcome to Dashbot and then they left.
Right.
What's the most common input that they send to your bot? Like that's interesting. Like they've asked what platforms do we support to our skill the most commonly. And it also works for Google as well. So we have the similar type of Google skill for Google Home. So you can say Google, okay, Google, talk to Dashbot, get our same kind of demo interactions. You can see here, like here's a C example. One really neat thing about kind of voice is typically you're doing like a mapping of intent. So your default fallback intent. This is essentially a report of all of the inputs that your skill or action did not handle. So for some reason, Google heard Jamaica. We're not really sure why, but we didn't handle it. But if you saw in this list a term that you should have handled,
Right.
then that's a really great way to kind of take a look at it and say like, oh, like I didn't think about someone asking for in that way, and then you can modify and improve your skill or action to handle it.
So when you're looking to improve the bot, what are the top 2-3 things that you pay the most attention to?
It's basically this stuff. So looking at the messages in, clicking on the message funnel, seeing how people are flowing, and then at a very, very high level, take a look at the goal funnel and understand like at a high level, what are we trying to do with our bot? Like, am I selling product? Am I delivering news and information? What is it that I'm doing? And it's possible that you have multiple goals. So you can kind of see the different, you can also almost bucket users into like, cool, they're like a shopping user today and they say they succeeded in making a transaction. Or they're just kind of like a news user today and they were able to read about the product.
Can you click at goal funnels just to take another look?
Yep. Yeah. So here's like an example funnel of like a conversion funnel, right? So you have like, we have 220 people and this is actually an example where it's like, say you're configuring an order or something. So I'm like configuring, a shirt or adding to cart or something. I'm choosing the options and then finally completing. You can see how many people are dropping out of every phase.
And then can you click on behavior flow again?
Yep.
I really like that one because it gives you a clear roadmap of where people are going.
Oh, let's do. Yeah. Sorry, Game Monk. Actually, let's do cat. The cat behavior flow is pretty good.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, so this is very clear, like how many people are ending after the first message. And then once they kind of make it into the second message, they're getting pretty deep over here, right? So
And can you kind of like click multiple at once just to see how many people are like that thing over there?
Yeah, so you can click on a particular node, and this will you can. In this case, there's only one user going in this path,
Mhm.
but you can see how many users. So this path here, there's 2 entering on the welcome message, and then 1 ended up in the news response, and 1 ended up in the something called the cat response. So
That's really
Yeah,
awesome.
because that gives us like a pretty clear roadmap of
Right.
where people are going into and where people aren't.
yep, exactly.